Hi, Ms. Blevins. We know you're the founder of the National Center for Citizen Safety, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for helping us create our first webinar. My name is Lois Blevins, as you said. I have been the founder and president / executive director for the National Center for Citizen Safety since 2014 when we officiated as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I have over 31 years of experience in federal law enforcement as both a trainer and also an intelligence specialist. I did threat assessment for quite some time and have spent the remainder of my career in training. I saw that there was quite an epidemic with active assailants in the nation, particularly, but across the world, globally. And I saw that there was a need to teach our citizens, just like we teach our children, stop, drop, and roll. So in that, we created this wonderful nonprofit, and our mission has stood tall for 4 years now. We're doing quite a bit of training, and we're very proud of everything we're doing, to include all the interns and all the volunteers that help us every day.
Thank you. One of our questions is, what are some of the things that are important to know from past active assailant incidents?
Excellent question. Excellent question, Jonna. So let me start off by just saying that it's really important to know what is an active assailant. And this is some of the things that we teach, by the way, in our training. So you're getting a little tidbit with this webinar on what we are and what we teach. So the name given to an individual actively engaging in killing or trying to kill people in a confined or populated area. Unfortunately, the first active assailant happened in 1966 down in a 25-year-old man in the University of Texas climbed a clock tower and shot 43 people, killing 13, unfortunately. But with that, we didn't have a lot of active assailants back then, but today we do. Of the 160 that were studied by the FBI in an FBI report that came out in 2014, we identified that the locations that an active assailant has taken to would be businesses, which is 40%, the outdoors, which is 19%, and schools, unfortunately, 29%, and other would be 12%. We are heading a little higher now, hedging higher in some of those percentages because of the 16 and 17 incidents that have occurred. So it's very incumbent on all citizens to know what to do in the event of an active assailant.
Thank you. Well, what can you give us as some insight on the statistics as far as locations of these various incidents?
That was really what we just talked about a little while ago. And then, of course, I think the timing is critical. Of the 160 that were identified, to include 2016 and 2017 statistics, 60% and upward ended before first responders could get there. Again, it's critical that our citizens know what to do. When you break those situations down, those incidents down, you'll find that somewhere around 60 to 66% ended 5 minutes or less. Greater than 5 minutes, about 34%, and then less than 2 minutes of that 60-some percent with the 5 minutes or less, you would find that a good gross amount of those were 2 minutes or less. So when we talk about timing, it's less than 5 minutes in most cases. In a rarity, you'll see a 10-minute or 11-minute situation or an incident. It's critical that a citizen know what to do and whether to run, hide, or fight. So that's something that I think is critical to know as well.
So what are some of the best practices for citizens in general when there are incidents of active assailants and domestic terrorism?
Excellent question as well. So we talked about run, hide, fight just a minute ago. And with that said, there are two things, shelter in place and lockdown. And what I want to tell you is that the run, hide, fight, which was implemented by the Department of Homeland Security, and you can find that very short 6-minute video on YouTube, or our website, nextsafe.org. So please consider going there and just taking 6 minutes out of your time to identify that video. If the threat is distant, then you need to move away and take cover or run. If the threat is nearby, then what you should do is take cover and immediately hide. And when I say hide, that's when I get to the lockdown. You lock down, you turn the lights off, you silence your phones, you lock your doors, you barricade, don't just lock. And then you get away from the door or any of the surrounding area of the door and get yourself in a hiding position. But not too cramped that you might, get ill or faint or what have you. If you are confronted, the worst case scenario, you may need to prepare yourself to engage in that individual. If you want to go home that night, you want to go home that day, you've got to fight with all your might. So run, hide, fight. Again, distance is your friend. Distance is always your friend, and locking down is critical. Also, when you go to different locations, anywhere you go, you should always know where 2 exits are. 2 exits. Everyone always says, I know where I came in, but I never really know where that second exit is. So it's critical to find out where that second exit is, even a third. Take your kids into a store, play the exit game. Tell them, okay, how many exits can you find? Just like we did in the car when we tried to find license plates on the road when we went on car trips. So please, best practice would be the run, hide, fight. Again, that was designed by Department of Homeland Security. And then, of course, distance is your friend, and always know where all your exits are.
In your opinion, what are the motives behind these active assailants? Why are they doing what they're doing?
And that's the most important question when it comes to see something, say something, or when it comes to really knowing what perpetuates a human being or a person, whether they were upset about a workplace or domestic or a personal grievance in general. As you know, with the Annapolis shooting just last month, sadly enough, my prayers go out to all of them. That was a critical personal grievance by someone that either the Gazette wrote about or what have you. And I think it's important to know those things so that you can get the attention needed, where needed, and when needed. So answering your question, about 46% of grievances typically, and this is, in the last few years, so almost half are just in general grievances. Those grievances can be workplace, which tends to be about a quarter of them, domestic, family type thing, about a quarter, a little under a quarter, personal grievances, not too many, but some. Then your next attacker's motive, I guess you'd want to say, is an ideological or a racial based, unfortunately. That's probably somewhere in a quarter of those attackers. Mental health and psychosis is somewhere between 10 and 15%. Political, 4%. And fame, somewhere around 5%. And then the unknown, we're not able to capture, is about 15% or more. Again, those statistics don't add up in totality because some subjects, some attackers, active assailants, actually have a dual motive. They might have an ideological one and combined with a personal or a work, like San Bernardino. So there's lots of things that can fit into these motives, but ideally the highest ones are the grievances. So when you see somebody become very torqued or nervous or upset or just starting to behaviorally act differently from a threat assessment perspective, you have to be situationally aware. And you have to know that this is something that might rise to the occasion of identifying that person or that thing that person did to a security element in your workplace or the police or what have you. So it's critical that you look to that and say something. Again, see something, say something, or if you feel like you're uncomfortable, say something anyway.
Thank you, Ms. Blevins, for sharing with us your knowledge on these topics.
And please visit any one of our social media platforms, as well as call us or email us at info@nextsafe.org. We'd love to come out to your private sector entity or a public sector. We do a gross amount of training to public libraries for free. So go to our website and see what we have going on. We're in Fairfax, Virginia in September. We're throughout Anne Arundel County at the fall of this year, and looking to go to maybe some Midwest towns and up to New York shortly. So stay tuned.